Welcome back, viewers. We're going to come on to Imran now and ask you the next question, which is very important. I think most of our viewers are interested in that.
Right.
Being successful in what you do, I want you to now give me a brief advice on how we can have students or people who are not students to get into the world of freelancing and going independent to get started.
It's very straightforward. Like the brother alluded to earlier, first have a goal. What are your strengths? What are you good at? And then work backwards. So from my personal experience, what I did was I knew there was areas that I was really interested in, like marketing, putting together plans. So what I did with a couple of other friends, we went to local businesses. Just simply get a suit, dress up smart, get a notepad, go and speak to businesses, see what problems and issues they've got. You'll be surprised, lots of small businesses haven't got a marketing plan, haven't got any sales strategy. So, and they'll say, look, we haven't got a website, we haven't got social media. There's various different things the average small business owner doesn't have. They haven't got massive budgets, but if you can come in and help them and be that advisor, that's how you can pick up potential work. That's one way of kind of getting started in it. But one of the other things you can do is go to networking events, go to seminars where you'll meet other business owners, you'll meet companies, and just get an idea of what people are doing. Find out what's happening in the industry, and from there you can kind of see, look, I've spoken to say 10 businesses now, and I know every business I spoke to didn't have a website. Maybe that's something I can do. Now, if you can't design a website, find someone who can, outsource it to them and take a cut. That's something that I did as well. So it's not difficult to do. I think it's easier to do this than to get a job. Because when I was doing this, I was going directly to the business owner, the director, having this conversation with them. But when you're applying for a job, you're up against 50 applicants, you're going for a CV process, you've cut all of that out, and you've gone straight to the decision maker. And that was the one thing that I noticed, that I was getting responses much quicker. So people who were doing these 2-hour applications and heard nothing back, I would go in, maybe drop an email, have a quick call, and go and see that person face to face. And see what the situation is, and just by having an open, frank conversation, you'll quickly find out what issues and problems businesses have, and then you can kind of find out a way of delivering a profitable solution.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to come on to Sumantho again. Sumantho, as you're a motivational speaker, my question towards you will be a bit more different. You know, a simple strategy to acquire success. Could you give us a simple strategy to acquire success?
Actually, many people complicate the overall definition of success. To me, whether I'm successful or not, that particular judgment should come inside me. So if I want to talk about the success in careers, we need actually 3 things. Success actually requires 3 S. First S is skills. If we don't have skills, the world would kill. So on that moment, the first thing we need to acquire, that is a skill. Second one, that is sector. We need to understand what are the sectors that actually require the skills that I already have. Third one is seriousness. If we want to be successful, that will not come overnight. That is not an immediate result of an attempt. So we always need to be serious, and we need to be set ready. So when we have skills, we know the sectors, and we are working seriously, that would actually lead to the success.
Okay, thank you. What are the skills that needs to be acquired whilst in university?
So that is a really interesting question. So we need to, I really love to give reference from the cinema, movies in these cases. So that actually makes overall things really easier. That is how a particular relationship actually being started. Firstly, there is a girl. Wow, the girl is beautiful. That is the way the first attraction created. Second one, wow, the girl is decent. Beauty is an external things. Decency, that is an internal things. So if we want to be successful in career or in our life, we need to develop some internal smartness and some external smartness. So what are the internal smartnesses? First one is problem solving capability. You need to understand the situation. You need to understand what is the reason of your current problem. You need to understand what could be the possible solutions of your problem. We need to understand, we need to also have some creativity inside us. We need to have decision making skills. All of these things actually refers to the internal smartness, that is the brain. Second one, that is the external smartness, that is our presentation skill, our communication skill, how we talk to the people, how we adapt to different situations. So the moment we are both internally smart and externally smart, then we are actually we can easily adapt to any situation, and every single job there actually tries to find out those persons who can actually handle the overall situation and develop the overall situations. So we need both internal and external smartnesses.
Excellent. That was very interesting.
Yeah,
How
very
about
much
you?
so,
You
very
found that
valuable.
Interesting. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay, Imran. I know during the break we spoke about mentors. Okay, can you tell us how important it is to have mentors?
I think it is
We have a
absolutely.
mentor here.
We do. You're walking, talking mentor right there. But I think mentors are absolutely critical, especially with our university structure here in the UK. This is my personal experience, and many of my close friends know this. We had several lecturers who would, lecture us on business, on marketing, who had never been in business, had never been in marketing, yet they would stand there in front of hundreds of students and lecture us. Yet they've never been in practically. In fact, you yourself, with your business experience, are and would be much more qualified to lecture students. So I always had this problem where we had lecturers who were coming from academic background, never really been in business, lecturing us. So that was my problem. And then in my second year, I met a really influential character. His name was Von Lee Joseph. He became my mentor.
Okay.
And he was running a course on sales, marketing, and how to become a proper salesperson, on consultative selling. And he had an academy which he kind of let us come on for free. Normally they charge corporate people thousands of pounds. It's called the, can I mention the name?
Yeah.
It's called the Bob Etherington Academy in London.
Okay.
Any student who's interested in sales or marketing or is serious about their career, I would definitely say look into it, because what he did for me was much more useful than what I had learned in my 3 years at university, because I paid what, £3,500 per year, had a couple of loans and whatnot, so I've got debt because of my experience. This course I went on to was essentially free. I didn't pay anything. But if I had a choice, I would have preferred to have paid this academy than gone into university, because I just feel that the university structure and systems are really not in line with modern day business and technology and how things are at the moment. So
universities don't tend to teach you the way to success. They just teach you about specific subjects and things like that. But when you go out to the real world, it's totally different.
And that's what my experience was. After my second year, I realized, the stuff that we're doing in university, these frameworks, these theories, how useful are they really going to be when I finish university and graduate? And that's why you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of graduates coming out of university unemployed, can't find jobs, or in really, unrelevant jobs that they're in because they can't find proper work. And that's because you have to look at what are they being taught. And I think that's where the problem is.
Okay, I mean that's very important actually. We need to understand, obviously when we go to university, we're going to study a particular subject. Even if you go into business, when we learn business in university, they don't really teach you the fundamental essence of being successful, the real criteria. Like you mentioned, these skill sets, to have these skill sets in order to be successful, they don't teach you these things.
You've got to learn them yourself. You have to.
That's why I believe, even in my business life, I've got a mentor, and I know, a very big entrepreneurs, they're multi-billion-dollar worth, but they still have mentors.
Absolutely, yeah.
They still have mentors because that mentor just keeps them just in that line that they need to be, because we can deviate very
But I think one of the biggest benefit of a mentor is someone who's already been through your journey. So they've been there, they've done that, they can say, look, I've been here already, I can guide you. And I think that's really invaluable, because if you're starting off in the journey, you want someone who can kind of be like a fatherly figure, motherly figure, and tell you, this is how to do it, this is how you can avoid any problems, and have the best route to success.
Give it that little push.
Exactly, that motivation as well, yeah.
Yeah. About yourself, you mentor a lot of people at a very young age. Very impressive. I've seen a lot, I've read a lot, I've got a whole booklet here reading about you. It's interesting. It's very interesting. What do you find in terms of mentoring? How do you find people appreciating it in the business world?
Yeah, they are actually appreciating this much, because this is I try to always simplify the overall complex things, because if I want to teach something, that should be both interesting and easy to understand. At the same time, that need to be applicable. So these are my training philosophy, that I will not actually make you PhD holder. That is not my job. They don't require any PhD holder. They require some persons who can achieve the organizational goal. They need the skill sets. So I actually try to help them how to communicate and the small things about the public speaking. For example, if I actually give you one small example how I actually teach people, that is 90% people, they actually have the fear of speaking in the public. They have two silly reasons. one, they always feels that the moment I am actually telling something, I am making something wrong. Secondly, when I am speaking in front of public, every single person, they are like Sherlock Holmes, they have a very good observation power, and they are identifying and understanding every single fault of mine, and they are actually smiling. Both of these two ideas are wrong. So these are the simple fallacies of our mentality. If we can easily break these fallacies, the training is really easy, and overall things, learning is really easy and fun.
Isn't public speaking like one of the most feared things? People say
Yeah.
they'd rather be dead
Yeah.
face a few than do public speaking.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
It is. To be honest, you know, I do a bit of motivational speaking, and I found that very difficult to
Is it?
start with. But after you do it the first time, second time, the
Yeah.
third time round, it just becomes so easy. You just don't see nobody anymore.
I think it becomes a bit more natural.
Yeah.
The basic thing is people are creating some artificial threats.
Yeah.
The reason people cannot speak in front of public because they themselves created some artificial threats.
Interesting.
That's true. That's true. Very true. Okay, coming back to Imran, what do you think people aren't looking towards a career in freelancing? Why aren't they looking and going independent? What do you feel about that?
Why aren't they going into it or
Yeah.
looking at? I think it's lack of knowledge, understanding. I think especially from the BME background, the Asian families, we like to know a proven path that works and has worked and carry on doing it. That's why.
True say, very
That's why
true
if the
say.
lawyers, doctors, and accountants, because we know they make good money and it works, carry on doing that. But we need people in different fields. We need people in media. We need people in politics, in public speaking, in business, and of course, you know, these sectors and these industries are just as profitable, and you can make a good living, good standard. But I think until people really look into it seriously, and say, look, what can I do? What can I do from this? What can I make from this? They won't really consider it as a viable option because they don't know anyone, or they don't really consider it a proper thing. That's my personal experience, because most people I speak to, they're kind of unsure of how this works. How do you get your clients? How do you make money? How do you earn an income? If this didn't work, I wouldn't be here with you guys right now. I would be in an office. It's coming up to that kind of end of the day. But because it's worked for myself, I know it can work, and I'm always, sharing my examples, what I've done, how I've got clients. So I know it can work, but I always find it difficult when people ask me, I'm scared, I don't know how to take the risk. Can I survive? But of course, with every decision you make, there's always risks involved.
Obviously.
And I would always encourage people, if you are looking to do this, do it as young as possible. Because once you get married, you've got kids, you've got families, as you have, you'll know how difficult it is. Well, when you're single, you've got less responsibility, so you can take more risks. You've got a safety net there. Your mum and dad are still there, family's still there. So if things don't work out, you can do something different. But I think until people kind of educate themselves on what is this industry, what is freelancing, what can I do from it, what are people doing in this area, then until that happens, people won't take it seriously.
Okay, that's very interesting, and it's very true as well. Very, very true. Some of the points you picked up, I've experienced.
I think we all have.
Finally, what advice would you give to our viewers? We're coming to the last segment, but I just want you to give us your view on what advice you have for our viewers out there.
Like the brother adhered to earlier, just have a plan first and figure out what your strengths are, because once you're playing to your strengths, it's like any team, you always put the best players where they can play the most effectively. So if you can put the players in the right field, the right area, then you're always going to be in a win-win situation, because you're doing something you're good at. Work backwards, have a goal, have a vision, and then start speaking to people. We live in a day and age where you can connect with big influencers, sit with them, ask them questions, and I think, take a risk, be audacious. And look, we live in London, we live in a great place where if things don't work out, there's always going to be something else. And we should always, as believers, we should always have some faith in God, that if things don't work out, something will always work out for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing, because if you've got faith, inshallah, things will always work out. For me, somehow it always has.
Yeah.
It's difficult to explain sometimes, but it always has.
I think Imran has pointed out a very important thing, which I always preach, is when Imran meaning faith, do you mean the belief?
Belief, yes, of course,
belief, the faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Yes.
and also the belief in yourself, within yourself, and the belief that you will attain that success.
Inshallah,
That's
yeah.
what you meant.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. Viewers, we are coming to the end of this segment, so please tune in. We're going into a break. See you after the break.